Live from the I-10 corridor from the Fastport Studios in the city of New Orleans, it's Nemo Nation.
Right back with Jay Grimes. And of course, you hear Jay all the time on another one of our long-running series around here. Started it off with Rod Novziger many moons ago. It's called the Washington Trucking Week, a regular Friday morning event for years. Well, it's Monday morning, but we're making some adjustments because of all of the activities heading over on the East Coast from Maine to Washington, D.C. The Wreaths Across America convoy is just about ready to head out in about 30 minutes or so out of Bedford, Maine, where they are at the middle school right now. And then everybody is going to have the conclave there at Washington, D.C. for the Vet Ready Summit. We'll also be at the Women's War Memorial. We'll also be at the Chamber of Commerce and at Arlington itself and Radio Row. And Jay Grimes is with us here, of course, from OOIDA and Washington Trucking Week. So, Jay, I don't want to grouse too much more about the ELD thing, but I don't want to take credit for this, but I thought it was pretty obvious when ELDs first came out, even when they were first talked about. I knew enough about computers at that time to know that anything you can do, a computer can do better, okay? So if we can take a paper log and figure it out in 15-minute segments, then a computer can do the same thing. Why in the world do you think that the computer runs down to the second, just like my broadcast clock does? And I can't make things on time sitting here in a chair. How can you make things happen on time sitting in a driver's seat? That is crazy stuff. So why do you think that they haven't mirrored the paper log with the electronic log? They could have done it. Easy.
Yeah, I think that's just kind of the compatibility question, and really what the ELDs are designed for in the first place. It's trucking is an unpredictable profession. You never know what's going to happen on the road, and with the hours of service, the way those are structured, it doesn't make it any easier to adjust your schedule. And these ELDs are in place for mostly fleet management for the larger carriers to try and keep their drivers on time and in compliance. I think the last 8 years has shown that they're in no way necessary for every driver and every truck out on the road. And the system and the design, I think, opens itself up to not working as it intended. We told the agency that, we told Congress that, and here we are, more than a decade after the legislation was passed in MAP 21 in 2012, and now 8 years since the mandate went into effect, and still causing problems every day with the ELD mandate. And unfortunately, FMCSA Congress, had a chance to maybe have some more room for error, make these open up some exemptions for more of the industry, more of the experienced drivers, and chose not to. And we're still beating down the door on that. But we also, understand that, if this is the environment we're in, how can we make it the most successful? Eliminating the self-certification is going to be helpful in doing that. And so the announcement last week, positive, but again, more room to cover. And ELDs isn't the only area where self-certifying is in existence. And we had another announcement last week on the entry-level driver training provider, where a lot of these schools are self-certifying. And I think DOT announced they removed 3,000 different training entities, added another close to 5,000, put them on notice. So you see the self-certification concerns throughout the industry, throughout the registration process, and we're getting some upgrades there. So it's clearly a priority for Secretary Duffy, for Administrator Bars, and that's a welcome sign.
Now, there has been talk very recently about basically getting rid of a lot of people at FMCSA. I thought they were kind of understaffed to begin with. Maybe I was wrong, but what are you hearing about that? And how is that going to affect things in terms of what the FMCSA is capable of doing?
Well, certainly across the government, a little bit of some changes going on with the new administration, trying to get more efficient, use some different systems to make government work a little better, get a little more bang for your buck. I think FMCSA, they play a critical safety role. So I don't think we haven't seen a purge that we've seen in some of the areas and some of the agencies that got shut down or are proposed to get shut down altogether. FMCSA still running. I think it is a challenge given the federal resources. I think Administrator Bars has a strong vision and for what the agencies are going to prioritize, and I think we've seen already this year a number of positive announcements, really for the first time in a long time, prioritizing the needs of the drivers with the Pro Trucker package that was announced in June, all the activity cracking down on non-domiciled CDLs, restoring English language proficiency violations into the out-of-service criteria. So I'm optimistic that the folks in charge at DOT and FMCSA, are going to, continue to make some productive changes. And part of that Pro Trucker package, there was some talk a couple of years ago about, we do have a pre-99 vehicle exemption from ELDs. If you got a, engine 1999 or older, you don't have to have an ELD. There was some talk about eliminating that exemption altogether and putting ELDs on more trucks. Fortunately, FMCSA announced in June that they're not going to explore that pre-99 exemption is here to stay. And then, we're also expecting the action that was announced this week in terms of improving the self-certification process and having some more guardrails in place there. So I'm like what I'm seeing from FMCSA these days, and we know, and we're telling them there's a lot more they need to work on too. But it is refreshing.
The Director of Affairs Federale, Jay Grimes, at OOIDA, sorry, Jay, and the Washington Trucking Week. Always enjoy listening to you on the radio, Jay, so I'll be tuned in to the next edition.
Sounds good. Thanks again, Jay.
Thank you, man.